Good afternoon, everyone. New information on a school evacuation in Rothsay. Students were taken off campus due to an apparent threat that was made around 12:45 p.m. Valley News Live received a tip saying Rothsay Public School received a bomb threat and students were evacuated. We're expecting new information from the sheriff soon. Stick with Valley News Live throughout the evening for the latest. Drugs, cash, and ammunition were all seized in what authorities are calling the largest fentanyl bust in Clay County. Investigators received information about people traveling to Minneapolis to pick up drugs to distribute here in the valley. This morning, several agencies worked together to conduct 2 traffic stops on I-94. In both cases, the vehicles took off. Officers were able to stop the suspects and seized more than 1,000 suspected fentanyl pills and approximately 20 grams of meth. The estimated street value is $37,000. Ammunition was also found and one of the vehicles was stolen.
This marks the 3rd seizure in Clay County along I-94 in just the last 2 months. Street drugs containing fentanyl have been the primary cause of the significant increase in overdoses in our metro area.
Larry McClendon, Raphael Murphy, and Cameron DeHarley were arrested and are facing several felony drug charges. 3 people are facing charges in the disappearance of a stolen stuffed giraffe from West Acres Mall. Legacy Toys inside the mall says Gary the giraffe is recovering after a wild weekend where he was taken from the store and then spotted all around town. 3 people were caught on this video stealing the large stuffed animal Saturday. Fargo police say that giraffe is valued at $1,200, which would classify this theft as a felony. Several people reported seeing the giraffe in various places around town, including Office Max, Old Navy, Kohl's, and Pancheros. Well, the weather is a little warmer today. Let's go to Hutch for a look at conditions. Hutch?
Stacy, thanks so much, and good late afternoon, everyone. We're enjoying that sunshine out there. The wind isn't horrible either, and this is a look at the Grand Forks area, and another view from Grand Forks is up along that Red River. We're going to spend some time talking about these rivers, and we do have rain in the forecast that we have been giving you a first alert to for the last several days. As the water continues to rise in certain places, we want to point out that this forecast for the rise in Valley City has more to do with releases at the dam than it does with the future rainfall. Rainfall not included into this because, to be frank with you, models not very good at picking out the precise location of where the heaviest rain will be this far out. This also showing a trend upward at Pembina as the waters that have hit the Central Valley are now moving north into the northern Red River Valley, and that rise will continue there. The river continues to fall. Good news in the Crookston area after a flood fight that brought it to near record levels. We're down in the moderate flood stage. But here's the deal. We are expecting more rain for the region. It starts on Friday and it could be heavy all the way into Monday morning for some areas. We'll have on again, off again chances of rain. So that means we could have another crest in many locations, not all locations. And it might look something like this where it comes up a little bit, might just flatline and not come down as fast as it was. But for those that get 2 inches or more of rain, we might see a very rapid rise, and it might challenge the crests that we've already seen. We're going to keep you on the top of this as we go through the weekend and beyond. And I do have to say, right now the models are showing a batch of heavy rain, eastern North Dakota into northwest Minnesota, where you see the yellows and oranges. That's 2 or more inches possible. Not everyone will see it, but we'll keep you up to date with the very latest on this and flooding as we go through a very soggy spring here, Stacy, in a minute.
All right. Thanks so much, Hutch. Governor Doug Burgum is seeking federal help in dealing with damaging floods and a severe winter storm that left thousands in the state without electricity. Burgum has issued a statewide emergency in the aftermath of a spring storm last weekend. Hundreds of power poles were snapped and roads became difficult to drive on, preventing utility crews from reaching the areas needed to restore power. The governor also declared a disaster for areas impacted by record snowfall during the historic blizzard 2 weeks ago. There's new evidence of a link between 2 9/11 hijackers and a man said to be on Saudi Arabia's intelligence agency payroll. We see them together in this newly released video. It was turned over to family members of 9/11 victims last month, along with more than 14 pages of documents, raising new questions about a long-standing question: did the Saudi government assist the hijackers? Catherine Harridge has the story.
Less than 2 weeks after 9/11, these boxes of evidence containing personal notes and videos were seized by British police in Birmingham, England. Buried inside this home video from 2000, now being seen publicly for the first time. The event is described by the 9/11 Commission as a party at the San Diego apartment of two hijackers. While Nawaf al-Hazmi and Khalid al-Midar avoided the camera, Midar can be seen here in the kitchen. Their team would later commandeer Flight 77, slamming it into the Pentagon. The party's host, a Saudi national, Omar al-Bayoumi, who British police arrested after 9/11 and from whom they seized the videos and documents. 3 years after the attack, the 9/11 Commission said there was no credible evidence that Bayoumi believed in violent extremism or knowingly aided extremist groups. Though a newly declassified FBI memo from 2017 reports Bayoumi was on the payroll of Saudi intelligence, a fact that was not confirmed at the time of the 9/11 Commission report.
I call him a facilitator because he helped them out.
Last fall, CBS News sat down with retired FBI agents Danny Gonzalez and Ken Williams, who investigated the hijacker support network. Both now work for the 9/11 families.
He helped them with apartments. He helped them with bank accounts.
He was also an employee of the government of Saudi Arabia.
Among the records, a notepad containing a handwritten drawing of a plane and mathematical equation that an expert said in a court filing could be used to calculate the rate of descent to a target.
Bayoumi is believed to be living in Saudi Arabia. We've tried to reach him through the Saudi embassy. It did not respond to our questions, but said in a statement last year, any allegation that Saudi Arabia is complicit in the September 11th attacks is categorically false. The FBI declined to comment for our reporting. Catherine Herridge, CBS News, Washington.
Meanwhile, a state investigation launched after George Floyd's killing has determined that the police department engages in a pattern of race discrimination. The department has come under pressure from multiple directions ever since Floyd's death. The U.S. Department of Justice is also investigating Minneapolis policing practices, though it is not thought to be close to a conclusion. After the nearly 2-year probe, the department says they plan to work with the city to address discriminatory race-based policing in Minneapolis. The investigation noted racial disparities in how MPD officers use force, stop, search, arrest, and cite people of color, particularly black individuals compared to white individuals in similar circumstances. Also in question was MPD officers' use of covert social media to surveil black individuals and black organizations unrelated to criminal activity, and MPD officers' consistent use of racist, misogynistic, and disrespectful language. Several city council members and residents have pushed to replace the department with a new public safety unit that they argue could take a more comprehensive public health approach to policing, including dropping a required minimum number of officers. Voters rejected that idea last year. Attacks in a country bordering Ukraine have officials around the world on high alert, concerned about what it could mean for the next phase of Russia's war. At the same time, U.S. officials met with leaders from dozens of countries in Europe this week to ensure Ukraine is well supplied with weapons.
We don't know all of the details beyond regarding what transpired yesterday, but we do remain concerned about any potential attempts to escalate tensions.
In the economic warfare, Russia is cutting off natural gas supplies to Poland and Bulgaria. Germany, which so far has avoided sending heavy weapons to assist in the war as it relies heavily on Russian energy, announced it will now send in armored anti-aircraft vehicles. Meanwhile, despite the tension, the U.S. and Russia pulled off a prisoner swap today. A former U.S. Marine from Texas was jailed in Russia. Trevor Reed was convicted of assault after a night out, charges he denies. Natalie Brand has details from the White House.
Former Marine Trevor Reed is on a plane flying home to the U.S., finally free after his arrest in Russia in 2019. Reed's parents told CNN their son called as soon as he was released.
We were actually on the phone with Trevor when the president called. He, again, totally gracious and wonderful and kind, and said he looked forward to seeing us in the White House again.
President Biden met with Reed's parents in late March. The president released a statement this morning saying, "I heard in the voices of Trevor's parents how much they've worried about his health and missed his presence." He goes on to say, "The negotiations that allowed us to bring Trevor home require difficult decisions that I do not take lightly." Reed was released in exchange for a Russian pilot who had been convicted of drug smuggling charges more than a decade ago.
Trevor quickly told us that The American plane pulled up next to the Russian plane, and they walked both prisoners across at the same time like you see in the movies.
Senior administration officials say negotiations had been going on for months and were separate from Russia's war on Ukraine. U.S. officials say Reed is in good spirits, but his parents worry about his health.
We're praying that he doesn't have tuberculosis, but we're still concerned, that he was coughing up blood for months.
The administration says work continues to try and release other Americans wrongfully detained, including former Marine Paul Whelan and WNBA basketball player Brittany Griner. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Busch is bringing Ukraine's most popular beer to the U.S. Starting in May, it'll be brewed in New Jersey. The beer sales will go to Ukrainian relief efforts, and the company will also donate at least $5 million to humanitarian aid and organizations. Still